Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going over this scope that you see in my hands right here and that you saw in the video intro. This is the Primary Arms Gen 3 1:6 scope with the KISS reticle. Now, I don't know what Primary Arms calls the KISS reticle. They have a name for it. I'll put it down below. But of course, in my eyes, it stands for the Keep It Simple Stupid. So basically, these scopes, the Gen 3 1:6s, have been available with several different reticles, all of them based on the ACSS system. So that one there is a BDC type reticle that has a lot of ranging capabilities, auto ranging capabilities in fact, and it's been very popular. I am a huge fan of it in fact, but some folks out there said that they didn't want that system and they wanted something less cluttered or a little bit less complex for what they do, whether that be shooting, at very close ranges, say out to 50 yards or something like that, and or folks who have sort of exotic calibers that don't really line up well with the BDC, at least in their minds. So that's what this is here. This is the solution to that problem set. So what we're going to do today, of course, is let the dogs take a look at the scope. Then we'll get into the details of it, the details of the KISS reticle, and then what I think of it overall. Now we'll get into the details of the scope itself, and we'll start back here at the rear and sort of work our way forward. So at the rear we have the eye focus ring, and what this is for is to focus the reticle to your eye. I have pretty good vision, so I tend to like mine all the way down, but every scope's different, everybody's eye is different, so definitely check it out and see what works best for you. Moving forward, we have the magnification ring. So this is going to be, of course, the 1x setting, and to go to 6, you spin it all the way over. Now this is a second focal plane scope, so all the milling and stuff like that we're going to get into here in just a second with the reticle has to be done in that 6x, but if you need to snap back to 1x for those close-in targets, you can do so relatively easy with that little knob. I did use a aftermarket throw lever throughout some of the video here. That was by IV Engineering, I believe, but there's plenty of aftermarket ones available. Anything, just so you guys know, that fits the Vortex Strike Eagle will also fit this in terms of aftermarket levers. So moving on to the turrets themselves, they are half MOA in terms of adjustment. So basically at 100 yards, you're going to move the reticle half an inch either up or down with each click. Now these turrets do have a good bit of crispness still. Of course, they're not going to win any sort of contests for that, but for what they are, they're nice and crisp and tactile, and they do get you zeroed, which I suppose is the ultimate purpose of it. Now, I do like the cap turrets for a scope like this. Really, for most low power variable optic scopes, I do like them because most folks simply aren't going to dial with a 1:6 scope, at least not in my opinion, and I probably wouldn't. I never have, so I can't really see a need to do so. So I like the cap turrets to protect them, so that way you're not going to lose your zero if you're walking around, say through the woods or something like that, with your rifle. Now the turrets, or rather the turret caps, on the windage one, it does have a spot to put an extra battery in there if you want to, and that sort of evens it out in terms of size-wise with the knob on the left here, which is our illumination. So we have 11 settings. Yes, it goes to 11, which of course is better than 10. And that position right there at 0 is going to be the off position. And of course you can go up 1 all the way to 11. And if you're in really bright sunny conditions rather, you can see what it looks like, of course, at least according to my camera. It's visible in both the 6x and 1x. Now, the debate about daylight bright, I guess we can leave that to the folks out there on the internet, but in general, particularly with budget scopes, the second focal planes tend to do a little bit better than the first focal planes, and Out in daylight, bright daylight, as bright as you could be, as you guys can see here, I didn't have any problem picking it up. Now we'll get into the reticle itself. This one again is a pretty simple overall reticle based in the mill system. So we have the chevron there, which has the chevron tip, and that gives you an infinitely small aiming point to really zero the optic in correctly and precisely. Some optics out there are going to have a dot in the middle that are 1 MOA or sometimes even 2 MOA, and there's a little bit of slop there with your zero. With the chevron tip, there is none of that, so that certainly is something I like. And then as you can see from the tip down to the bottom of the chevron, that's 1 mil, and then you go down 1 more mil, and that's the top of the line on the bottom. And at the bottom of that line is 3 mils. So those are holdovers for you, as well as a way to range estimate if you're using a mill system to do so. And again, on the horizontal line there, as you guys can see from the tip to the left and the right beginning of the lines, that's a mil. And then continuing out, that's 6 mils. So basically I ran a couple common loads here through my ballistic app, and this is what you're going to see here with some Federal M193 out of a 16-inch barrel. That's what it's going to equate to, at least where I live anyway. We have about 200 feet of elevation where I shoot, so that's what it looks like. And then if you put in some 147 grain Freedom Munitions 308, this is what the reticle looks like in terms of your holdovers. And then the last load that we put through there was some Red Army standard 123 grain 7.62 by 3.9. I know those are probably the most common calibers here in America anyway, and you guys can see how your holdovers look. And of course, all of those are going to be with a 100-yard zero. You can zero it at different points. It doesn't really matter. That's one of the beauties of the mill system. Just make sure that when you're running your data, you of course put it in with whatever zero that you started with. But overall, very simple reticle for those of you guys that don't want a whole lot going on, and or you want to use it with a sort of unique or not so common caliber. The optic we've been using throughout the review, of course, is this black one, but Primary Arms also offers this 1:6 Gen 3 scope here with the KISS reticle in this wolf gray. So we'll put links down below to both of those, but just want to let you guys know that that is an option. Now, in terms of weight, that's something that folks are always concerned with low-powered variable optics for their ARs particularly. And this one here comes in right at 15.2 ounces on my scale. And size-wise, you guys can see there how it compares to the Steiner P4XI. Now, this is a 1:4 scope, of course, but it is a little bit smaller in terms of the overall profile. But one thing that's really nice about these Gen 3 scopes here from Primary Arms is that the size is very good. It's a little bit smaller than the original. The weight's a little bit lighter as well, and the eye box is a little bit more forgiving. So all in all, it was definitely a big upgrade to go from the Gen 2 to the Gen 3. Of course, the Gen 2s still work, but all in all, I would definitely prefer to have the Gen 3. We covered most of the high points, but a couple things that we need to cover that I didn't touch on so far is that it is made in China. So let's get that out of the way. I know a lot of folks are really against that and don't have a lot of faith in that, but for those of you who that is the case, Primary Arms is now offering a lifetime warranty on their Gen 3 scopes. So any of their Gen 3 line, at least the 1:6s anyway, and I think the 1:8 have the lifetime warranty. So should you ever have a problem, Primary Arms will fix it for you and get you a new scope that is in working order. So there's not a whole lot more you can ask for that in terms of a warranty, so that certainly is a good thing. Also, price is another thing that people always want to know about, of course, right? That just makes sense. So this one here, right now over at Primary Arms website, is coming in at $289. And for viewers of the channel who use the link in the video description, you'll also get a free mount as well as free shipping. That offer's good right now. I don't know if it'll be good in the future. If you're watching this in 2020 and it's not good, don't come to me. It's good right now. So in terms of price, that's pretty good, right? If you look around for competitive options out there on the market, it's about as good as it gets for the quality of the scope that you're getting here. So 10, 15 years ago, budget scopes really kind of stunk. They tended to not hold zero. They tended to have terrible glass. They tended to have reticles that weren't usable. I don't really know when it changed, but 5, 6, 7 years ago, that started to really improve and started to become a very competitive market. And nowadays, some of these scopes are really good. And I'd put this one in that category. The Gen 3 ACSS scopes tend to perform very well in my experience. And with the KISS reticle there, it does what it says it's going to do. It doesn't have all the capabilities of the ACSS reticle, but some of you guys, like I said, don't want that. So if that's what you prefer, something a little bit more simple, mill-based like this one, then hey, this one's probably a good option. Now, if you guys have any questions that we didn't talk about here in this video, you can post those down below in the comment section. You can also post those over at my Facebook page. As always, I should point out, people always want to know with these scopes, what is the 1X like? So we sort of rolled that in already with the pictures of the reticle, but on 1X, it's not a true 1X, right? So people always want to know, is it a true 1X? It looks like a true 1X. I've never seen a true 1X, not on a variable power magnified scope. And the way I define that is that if you could zero iron sights behind it and in front of it, then it would be a true 1x like a red dot, but this one's not quite there. It's probably like 1.15, 1.2-ish. I've seen one power scopes that have more magnification on one, and I've seen one power scopes that have less magnification on one. So it's sort of in between, but it certainly is usable at CQB type distances. So I wanted to cover that before we end the video. But as always, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I hope to see all of you in the next video. So right now, John's looking for the steel target down there. It's painted black, unfortunately. That's the color I had with me, so it's kind of hard to see with the background. But I gave him a quick class on using this. So you want to pull it tight into your shoulder here. There you go. And finger off the trigger until we're ready to fire. But it's going to target downrange at 330 yards. So it's not an easy shot, but we have a 1:6 scope on there. It's primary arms with the KISS reticle. It's zero, and I told him basically put the chevron tip right on the head, and you will get hits on this target. Do you see the target?
Yeah.
Okay. So whenever you're ready, put it on fire. And then what you really want to focus on with this one is you want to make sure that your trigger press is nice and slow and not jerky, because that little bit of jerking will throw you way off target down there at 330 yards. Nice smooth press while that little chevron tip is right on the head. Got it. First time ever.
Nice.
Nailed it.
Wow.
Take a few more. 2 for 2. You're on a hot streak. What do you think?
That's an amazing piece of machinery.
It is. And he was saying off camera that he wasn't sure it could actually shoot out there and get hits at that distance. As you can see, untrained shooter, 5 minutes of instructions is hitting each time. So with good equipment, it's totally doable. And we're just shooting 55 grain free munitions out here, so it's nothing fancy either. We got a ballistic advantage Hansen series barrel. It's a very good barrel, and of course decent scope like you talked about. So and it's zeroed, so that always helps. But more than welcome to keep shooting if you want, John. Three for 3.
Woo. Wow. What a machine.
It's nice, huh?
Yeah.